My previous video on the Warlock created a bunch of productive and useful questions in the comments, and I figured I would actually teach you what my version of the Warlock for TBC is. A full build into the Shadowbolt only Warlock. The main question is Shadowbolt only the most optimal way to play a Warlock? Aside from pre-raid besting slot, the answer is usually not. But, as I showed in my previous video, the gap between actually doing a fancier rotation or only Shadowbolt is between 15 and 25 damage. So it is not a DPS difference at all. And how could you mess up Shadowbolt? In my opinion, unless you are going for an unironical 99 parse because you're that kind of person, you are doing yourself a disservice doing anything else than Shadowbolt and Shadowbolt and Shadowbolt. So this build is gonna reflect that. But yes, this is technically not the highest DPS build in the game by a difference of 15 DPS. So anyway, we're gonna take Improved Shadowbolt, duh. Then we are gonna take Bane, because we're gonna do more Shadowbolts. Then we are gonna take Devastation for free crit. We are gonna take Destructive Reach for more range. Right here we have a little bit of choice. I like taking Shadowborn. It is like a quick execute. It is really not worth doing on cooldown unless the boss is gonna die, you know, in that very global, or if you have to move. So for the people that were asking, like, what do you do if you have to move? You do not dot, okay? Because Corruption is not instant. You need a talent for that, and we are not gonna take it. But you can Shadowborn and move for a global. So that's why we take Shadowborn, to move. 2 more talents to spend. You can take either Intensity to resist interruption when you take damage. That's pretty useful. Then we are gonna take Ruin, so our crits do double damage instead of 50% more damage. Absolutely crucial. And remember, we are Shadowbolt only. We do not use our brain to think things anymore. So we are not gonna take Improved Immolate, and we are not gonna take Conflagrate. You can give up on that idea in your head. No. And we are gonna take Cataclysm, not the expansion. We are gonna take all 5 points. There is nothing really good anymore to take. You can go for Daze, Aftermath, you know, Daze in them. I'm gonna go for Nether Protection. Sometimes you're gonna take fire damage if you stand on fire, you know, these procs, and you become immune to fire. You know, if you're really stupid in Shade of Aran, this might save you 30% of the time, every time. But you can take Daze if you like the PvP nonsense, whatever you want to do. We're gonna take 1 point. There you go, YOLO. And now we can take Backlash. It is 3% free crit, and every time we get hit by a physical attack, we are gonna get an instant Shadowbolt. 3% crit is 3% crit, and we are gonna need 2 more points, and we're gonna take them on Soul Leech. Now, if you have a lot of gear, Soul Leech is not a good idea. Why? Because you can see the tooltip. Your Shadowbolt has a 20% chance to give you 20% back of the damage as health. Now that sounds awesome, right? Free health as a Warlock, more mana. How could you hate on that? The problem is that Warlocks have a lot of threat issues when they get a lot of gear, and healing is global threat. This will not be a problem for the majority of you people in here, I know, but if you have a lot of gear or if your tank is bad, you might want to consider taking something else, 2 points somewhere else randomly, and not take Soul Leech. Otherwise, for the overwhelming majority of Warlocks, this is actually a really useful talent. It is also the main advantage you get by these 2 talents, okay? You get Nether Protection and you get Soul Leech. Those are the 2 talents you can take instead of Immolate and Conflagrate, which we are not gonna use. And finally, we are gonna take 5 points in Shadow and Flame. This is the reason that Shadowbolt is a spec. Shadowbolt is a real spec, and this is the reason that Warlocks are so goddamn good. 20% extra scaling on your spell damage. That's right, like out of your entire spell damage, you scale 20% flat of it. That's one of the most bonker scalings on any spell in the game. Just so you get an idea, okay? Pyroblast has a 115% scaling, right? That sounds crazy, right? That sounds really good. Think about this. Shadowbolt has an 85% scaling plus the 20% you get from your talent. So Shadowbolt has a 105% scaling. Shadowbolt has a 2.5 seconds, cast is a 105% scaling, while Pyroblast, the big fat 6-second spell, is 115%. That's how crazy the scaling on Shadowbolt is. Anyway, we're gonna take 2 points on improved Healthstone. Everything else here is useless. We're gonna take Demonic Embrace, I guess. You can take whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Then we're gonna take Fell Intellect, free mana, of course. We're gonna take 2 more points in here in Demonic Embrace. Then we are gonna take 3 points in Fell Stamina for more stamina. 1 point in Fell Domination. We gotta waste another point, so we're gonna go to Armor. Then we're gonna take Master Summoner to summon our pets quickly, for whatever reason if we need to. There's nothing good here, we're gonna take 2 more points in Armor. And we gotta waste 1 more point, so where is it gonna land? Got it. Okay, wherever you wanna drop it doesn't matter. And here we are, Demonic Sacrifice. You sacrifice a succubus, you get 15% shadow damage. So not only you got the second most bonker spell power scaling in the game, you got 15% multiplier on top of that. Again, somebody really messed up when they were making the TBC Warlock. They wanted you to go down here, but we don't do that, and we take 15% more damage. Of course we're gonna take 15% more damage. Now we can talk about the stat priority. First of all, we gotta get our spell hit cap. We do not get any hit from our talents. So we gotta get 16% hit full natty, that is 202 spell hit rating if you wanna look it up. It's a lot of hit, okay? But after that, you gotta stack shadow spell damage. Nothing comes even close. Shadow spell damage is the #1 return on investment for any stat you can get. Even crappy green items with shadow spell damage are better than a lot of really good dungeon gear and even Karasan gear. After that, we are gonna take spell crit. After that, we are gonna take intellect. And after that, we are gonna take haste. Of course, one exception is the Quagmiran's Eye. We are gonna take that trinket every single time just because it is so goddamn broken. And I guess at the bottom of that you can put stamina. I guess you gotta take stamina if you can. But intellect keeps you crit. Now we're gonna talk about the rotation. You see there's a big button in there. We're gonna press Shadowbolt. Yeah, it's pretty good. Actually, there is 2 little tips of nuance in here. First of all, don't forget you gotta actually summon your succubus and sacrifice it to get the 15% more damage. We are not gonna use a pet. But secondly, you wanna drop your curse. Whatever curse the raid is lacking, you gotta drop it. If you have the choice of dropping whatever curse because you got too many warlocks, you should do Curse of Doom because it does a quadrillion damage. If the mob is gonna die faster than that, you can do Curse of Agony instead. We are gonna do Shadowborn when we have to move, and you save Shadowborn for when you gotta move, and you're gonna be fine. Your red gem is gonna be the Runed gem for spell power, your yellow gem is gonna be the Great gem for spell heat, your blue gem is gonna be the Glowing purple gem, and your meta gem is gonna be the Chaotic Skyfire Diamond for 3% more damage on your crits. Your consumables are a little more straightforward because you actually want to use a flask instead of elixirs. That's the Flask of Pure Death for a whopping 80 spell power. Then our potion is going to be the Destruction Potion, more spell crit and damage. Of course, you can take a haste potion. Some people do it. If you pop it along your cooldowns or whatever. I cannot tell you when it becomes better to pop a haste potion over destruction potion, but I prefer destruction potion. You can mat it out if you want. Your food is gonna be the Blackened Basilisk for 23 more spell damage, and your oil is gonna be the Superior Wizard Oil for the DD party and 42 spell damage. Overall, the Shadowbolt Warlock is gonna do way more damage than any fancy thing you try to do, not because it is theoretically the best damage, but because how could you possibly mess this up? You just can't, it's not happening. Oh, come to think of it, I forgot. Oh, silly me. Medina, what's the AoE rotation? I will tell you how to do the AoE rotation before I go, okay? So, you see this Seed of Corruption spell? Okay, you gotta grab this icon, right? You gotta drag it into your bars, and you press it. And then you tap to another mob, and you press it again. Isn't this class awesome? This is actually one of the greater reasons why Shadow is better than Fire in reality. Even though the Sims actually fire does more damage, quote unquote. Seed of Corruption is so unbelievably broken that even fire warlocks wanna do Seed of Corruption. So of course stacking a bunch of shadow damage gear is gonna give you more AoE too. And warlocks are uncontested the best AoEers in the game. There are some classes that can come toe to toe with the Shadowbolt warlock in single target DPS, especially later on with the glaives, but even early on, arcane mages are unbelievably good. Fury warriors are not even that bad, they can go pretty close, even before glaives, but this is, without question, the best AoE in the game. And it is also the main reason why you wanna stack a bunch of warlocks, not only because their single target damage is amazing, but because they do so much AoE damage. And even if in the fights you don't need AoE damage, you actually do quite need a lot early on. Magteridon is quite a bit of a hassle if you do not have good AoE. But the trash, man, the trash without a warlock feels so much worse. A warlock is gonna do easily triple the DPS of any other class in AoE if given enough time to like pop 3 seeds. And every time a seed pops, it pops other seeds because it pops with damage, right? So if you have more than one warlock, they actually synergize with each other, and that's why Seed of Corruption is so unbelievably goddamn broken. They changed it for Rato de Lich King for a reason, because it is broken, it is stupid, but now you have it. We are gonna be streaming TBC every day on the Twitch, you can check it out down below. I am gonna play a Warlock myself, and a Prot Paladin. The Warlock is gonna be my ult actually. Are you interested in a Prot Paladin guide? I don't know about that. And subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching!